Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode of my tropical bonsai series. This episode will focus solely on the firebush, which is a good material that grows well in Zone 11 where I live. It also responds well to pruning and is prone to backbudding, both of which make it a good candidate for a bonsai tree. I went to the local nursery and bought this Florida native firebush earlier today. It was $40 for the pot, and I ended up getting a nice 2-trunked bonsai tree and a little smaller one that you'll see that I removed from the planting. There's so much old bark on this tree, and it's pretty much the sole reason that I wanted to get it. I actually saw it at the nursery a few weeks back, but didn't buy it that time. But finally today I caved, and I decided that if it was still there when I went to the store, I was definitely going to have to purchase it. Here's the tree after pulling back just a little bit of the dirt and roots with my hands. I didn't want to mess with the root ball too much because as we get into summer and these things start to actually actively grow, it's not technically the best time to be repotting them. Usually you want to repot when the tree is still dormant, but you can see it's pushing out a little bit of new growth at the top. To be honest, I don't really know if they ever do go into full dormancy, though. It seems like they still grow even a little bit during the winter down here. This is just a smaller tree that I removed and put in its own pot. Next, I was able to get an idea of potential planting angles in the wooden box. I settled on elevating the right side of the tree, and in general, keeping most of the tree pretty high up in the pot. A lot of the lower part of the trunk was buried under dirt and kept pretty much moist 24/7, so I'm hoping that this will maybe allow some of that to dry out and let me save a little bit more of the dead wood. I could try using some lime sulfur or another preserving agent in the future to make the dead wood last even longer. Alright, and so here's the firebush after just a little bit of root pruning, and then obviously getting it potted up into a wooden box. I'm thinking that this is the front side, and then here's the back. Some other things that I'm immediately noticing are this dead wood is like really rotten, so I just knocked it off with like my arm or something when I was working on the tree, but so we're gonna take that off. Gosh, that's pretty that's pretty soft too. Some of this is soft, but I don't know what exactly is gonna happen with this because this was buried. Yeah, I think this is the only other one we're gonna need to cut off right now. In the future, I'll learn my lesson from today and just pot up the tree wherever it's actually going to grow, because once I put in all that soil and rocks, as well as the tree, this thing became very heavy to pick up and move around. The twin trunks have a nice silhouette already. I just need to remove some of the confusion going on towards the top of the tree. Alright, so I did some pruning on this branch, and before we do anything else, I think we gotta take care of this. It looks cool, I would keep it, but like, it's coming off literally in my hand, so maybe I'll at least take it down until it doesn't come off with hands, but alright, and that's about as good as we're gonna get it. At least with my hand, I don't want to go in and clip it yet. But you can see I got a little bit off. Next thing we're gonna do is, I think we need to cut maybe this entire branch off. It's growing back towards the middle, and it's kind of already a smaller one that's probably easier to train and make look nice if I can get it to focus, coming out of the bigger part of the trunk. So I think I'm gonna just go ahead and cut that off entirely. Looking for my clippers. Okay. Alright. A pretty big cut. And now here's what we have. Next, I put a screw into the side of the wooden box and attached a wire to it in the right trunk of the tree in order to pull it just a little bit further down to the ground. That's another nice thing about wooden boxes as opposed to ceramic bonsai pots, especially when you're in an early training stage. Our next big decision is going to be, I think, we're going to take it off right here. There's our branch. There's our tree now. It obviously doesn't have any ramification yet, but it's starting to look a little bit more like a tree. Now here's the tree basically all done for today. Just the tiniest little bit of amount of wire onto this one to get it to look a little bit more like a canopy. The wire pulling down this one, and then obviously the wire that's pulling down this secondary branch. I think the last thing that I'm gonna do is probably just take this whole thing off. I think it's getting a little bit too tall, and it would look a lot nicer to start maybe back budding out of that smaller, shorter branch behind the big leader that's growing right now. Okay, and so finally here's the tree after its initial root pruning, potting into a bonsai pot, and a little bit of styling. It's got in a better part of the yard, and yes, it was just as heavy as the first time. But as you can see, I don't think it's exactly full sun. We've got some trees that don't really facilitate that very well. But it's pretty close to full sun, and I think maybe it'll do a little bit better and maybe a little bit less stressed if it's not necessarily in full sun. So this is where I'm gonna leave it for right now. Maybe I'll move it over towards the rest of the bonsai bench at some point, but there's also not really any room over there, so I'll have to make another one. But yeah, enjoy our final look at this little firebush that I picked up today and turned into a bonsai starter. I'm pretty interested to see what's going to happen with all this dead wood. I don't really know what is going to happen, so your guess is as good as mine. And then while I have you guys here, I'll update you on this guy's cousin. So this is what I think is the Florida firebush, and this is the Bahamian firebush. that I think they're in the same genus, but they have a different species. And I can put those up on the screen now so you guys can know. But I got this one a few weeks ago also, and I didn't take it out of the pot, but I did start doing a little bit of training on it. So you can see the trunk, and they're both like, you know, they look similar, but they kind of differ, I guess, mostly in sort of the color of the trunk, at least the outside, not the inside. And then this one hasn't flowered for me yet, but it looks like it's about to. And I know that these flowers look pretty different from the Florida Firebush flowers, so that'll be exciting to see. But other than that, you can kind of tell, and I've kind of pruned this one up, so it's not as easy, but you can definitely tell these are related by the way that they grow out of the old cut points. I don't know, some plants are nice, some trees are nice, and they'll only do 2 or 3 out of a cut point every time. The firebushes grow like 6 to 8 liters out of wherever you cut, and then, which is kind of nice that you get to pick, but it does look a little bit overwhelming, at least before you trimmed it. So this one grows very similar to this one. And finally, before I get you guys out of here, I'll also show you a little bit of an update on the original Firebush that you might have seen if you watched Tropical Bonsai episode 1. There's not really too much going on, to be honest, though. It, you know, it's been in this pot for a little while now, and it's been doing well. It's been growing, but obviously a little bit slower than it was when it was just in like a flower pot and had a little bit more dirt to work with. So we had a couple leaves die off, but that was it. And it didn't really take that much of a shock to the bonsai pot. So I'm hoping that the others will respond kind of similarly. Anyways, that's all I have to show you guys. Thank you so much for watching. This has been episode 2 of Tropical Bonsai. Let me know if you guys found this episode for episode 1, or if you've even seen episode 1. I hope that this series is at least starting to become helpful to maybe at least one person that lives kind of in the same area that I do. But anyways, that's it.